The G.I. Joe team's assault trooper shares a name with the founder of Wendy's, but I'm sure there's no relation. Let's talk about Crazylegs. But before we do, let me say thank you for watching JLS Comics. If you liked the video, hit the thumbs up and subscribe because I do upload videos just like this every week. Alright, let's jump into our story. Well, I mentioned Wendy's. Dave is actually named after David Thomas Roberts, an American composer who's noted for his ragtime style. Growing up, Dave developed his talent as a pianist and an organist, which made me think he should have the name Crazy Fingers instead of Crazy Legs. His favorite tunes being things like Toccata and Fugue in D minor from Johann Sebastian Bach. He could have become a modern-day Bach in his own right, but apparently his fingers were too short for that. Eventually, Dave enlisted in the United States Army, got his wings, and joined Airborne Rangers. And Rangers didn't care about his short fingers, they just wanted to know if he could use his short fingers to put 5 pounds of pressure on his trigger, and that he'd be willing to jump out of a helicopter into a hot LZ with nothing but a rifle, a couple grenades, and the best wishes of his CO. According to his file card, not only is Dave an Airborne Ranger, but he's also cross-trained as a forward artillery observer. His V2 file card says, once the team's presence and position have been compromised, it's up to Crazylegs to provide enough firepower and confusion to cover a tactical withdrawal. He loads 100% tracer ammo instead of the usual 1-to-5 ratio. This makes the other guy think there are twice as many out there coming at him. His Action Force counterpart is named Marcel Dupont and hails from France. And this Crazylegs file says, we can be storming a hardened position right into the teeth of an enfilade, green tracers so thick in the air you can smell the magnesium, AP mines going off with intersecting cones of fire, bouncing betties, the works. Crazylegs comes ducking and weaving through all of this with a weird light in his eyes and humming a selection from Johann Sebastian Bach. And that imagery should give you a good idea of how he earned his codename. In 1988, Dave went from Rangers to the G.I. Joe team and assigned the codename Crazylegs. He first appeared in Marvel Comics and Larry Hama's A Real American Hero comic book series with issue 69. His first mission found him in Sierra Gordo, and he was waiting at the airport with Wild Bill, Maverick, and a C-130 as the extraction team for Hawk, Psych Out, and Roadblock, who needed to pull the ambassador out of the country safely. As the team worked, Crazylegs was helping keep a group of self-proclaimed political refugees from boarding their plane. And then Zorana and a Thunder Machine showed up demanding they start up the cargo plane, but Crazylegs, Mav, and Wild Bill held their ground. Then as Crazylegs and Zorana were arguing, the rest of the team burst onto the runway with an Ostriker and the ambassador, a sedan, an armored transport, and a tank in hot pursuit. In desperation, Zorana grabbed one of the refugees and stuck a gun in his face. She's bluffing, Wild Bill, Crazylegs said to the pilot. She don't know how, Wild Bill replied. They took off, leaving the team on the ground, but a bullet pierced a fuel line, and they crashed down in the jungle. As the belly of the plane slammed down in a cloud of fire and twisted metal and eviscerated underbrush, one of the refugees' children was flying out the window, but Crazylegs dove and grabbed him like a football just in time, saving the boy. But they were still in the cargo hold now, and as that plane crashed down, the securing harness for the Thunder Machine broke loose, and Crazylegs had to put those crazy legs to use once more as he grabbed the boy again and dove out of the way as the giant vehicle slammed into the wall where they were just crouched, saving him for a second time. He then handed little Miguelito back to his grateful mother. Only then did he run to the cockpit to help Wild Bill, Mav, Zorana, and the Nox, who were all hurt but generally okay, except Thrasher, he wasn't having a good day. Not long after they disembarked, the plane exploded in a massive fireball, and the shockwave and heat washed over Crazylegs and the group. Crazylegs then made it onto the cover of issue 71, as he had to help Zorana pull Thrasher back into the plane. Story-wise, they weren't quite there yet though. Crazylegs was still urging the group to move out and put some distance between themselves and the plane wreckage, which would surely attract unwanted attention. They were then Oscar Mike, but Thrasher, still injured, was yelling, and Wild Bill said, "You want to hold him down, Crazylegs? Maybe I can gag him." But Crazylegs said he had a better idea and knocked Thrasher out with the butt of his rifle. Effective. They then put the refugees on a bus that Zorana stole and told them to drive to safety. And so then they started walking to Rio Lindo, but the bus showed back up and they took him into the city, and after a car chase they managed to steal a seaplane. And on takeoff, this guy Chip Goodfellow pulled out an Ingram Mac-10 from under his oh-so-80s blue jacket and took the plane hostage for a minute by pointing the barrel right at Crazylegs. And Thrasher kicked him out of the plane, and now that's where we arrive at the scene from the cover. Crazylegs says, "Thrasher, you are such a geek," and Thrasher smirked. "I like you too," he said. For the civil war that flared up on Cobra Island, Crazylegs was on Duke's security team with Beachhead, SEAL, Airborne, Ripcord, and Lifeline. The security team was backup for the main assault on the Cobra Island airfield. But when Lift Ticket touched down their helicopter, it was shot up by a strafing Cobra Mamba. The team formed a line around the wreckage as Lift Ticket and Crazylegs were pulled out, severely injured and needing an immediate medevac. Crazylegs was in G.I. Joe European Missions issue 15, which was a reprint of Marvel UK's Action Force Monthly issue 15. In this issue, Action Force was tasked with reclaiming an oil field in the quote-unquote oil emirate in the Arabian Gulf that Cobra had taken over with infantry and an armored division. While AF's armored units attacked, Crazylegs, Tunnel Rat, Hit and Run, Fast Draw, and Mainframe were sneaking in via an empty and dry oil pipeway, one of the many pipelines running around the oil field. Crazylegs kept complaining about dirty jobs, so Tunnel Rat ended up yelling at him to be quiet. Ultimately, Crazylegs and Hit and Run held Cobra at gunpoint in the main wellhead tower, forcing them to make safe their incendiary charges. But then they had to hold off all the Cobra outside. So Tunnel Rat watched the hostages, Mainframe was decoding the bombs, Fast Draw was firing his rockets outside, while Crazylegs and Hit and Run fired from the windows with their assault rifles. And Crazylegs was not seen again until ARAH issue 108, just before the infamous Battle of Benzine. Crazylegs was part of the mission to take out the terror drones that were being put up in the desert outside of Trucial Abysmium. In their Havoc, Warthog, Mauler, and Oststriker, they chased a Rage into the Nightwash Desert, but Cobra ran them down, surrounded them, and destroyed most of their vehicles. So Crazylegs jumped onto the back of an Oststriker as they attempted to escape. But Cobra surrounded them and kicked all the Joes right into a ditch with Duke badly injured. And an order came in from Cobra Commander to take care of them, which the Crimson Twins interpreted as killing them. The twins didn't want to get their hands dirty with wet work, but a Saw Viper eagerly offered his services in exchange for more money in his account. And when Doc peered over the edge at the top of the ditch, he saw the Saw Viper's boot and an M60 machine gun. Then, with a bloodthirsty grimace on his face, the Saw Viper rained hot lead down on a group of Joes, killing Doc, Heavy Metal, Crankcase, and Thunder, who used their bodies to shield those of Falcon, Duke, Crazylegs, Breaker, and Quick Cake, which is how they were able to stay alive. Falcon and Quick Kick fought off the Viper with a stolen knife, while Quick Kick enraged used the pig to cut down 2 Cobra. Quick Kick was sobbing, tears rolling down his eyes. "I got him though, didn't I, Crazylegs?" he asked, and Crazylegs said, "Yeah, you did, you old buddy. Let me take that thing," referring to the hog still in his hands. So now Crazylegs had the M60 with him. The remaining Joes commandeered a Cobra Rage tank and got outside of the range of Cobra's ECM jamming to radio Hawk in the pit for help for extraction. But a direct hit from a Cobra Maggot destroyed the Rage tank, and it exploded in a superheated fireball that threw Cross Country, Duke, and Falcon clear of the wreckage, but which claimed the lives of Crazylegs, Breaker, and Quick Kick. It was a devastating loss for the G.I. Joe team, their day of single greatest casualty in their entire history, and one which still resonates with the team, and truth be told, with readers and fans as well, to this day. The 3 remaining Joes went after the deadly Saw Viper, seeking revenge. Duke said his bullets would be revenge for Doc and Breaker, Falcon said his were for Quick Kick and Crankcase, and Cross Country said that he was packing heat in honor of Heavy Metal, Thunder, and Crazylegs. But they had pistols against the Saw Viper's MG and a tank, and they were about to die too when the frantic call came in from the Crimson Twins to call out the attack. They were never supposed to die. He was never supposed to kill them. It was all miscommunication. So the Saw Viper turned the Rage around and just left. But Rage in the form of Duke was on him. "He's mine," Duke said, fury and anger in his eyes as his wrath was about to come down on that Saw Viper, but he was called off. As they covered the bodies of Crazylegs and their comrades with a tarp, Wildcard, Clutch, and Rock and Roll showed up in a mobile battle bunker. And soon thereafter, the fallen Joes, Crazylegs included, got an empty boot ceremony with the entire unit at their FOB. And this was just as news came in that Cool Breeze was also KIA, and Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow announced also right at this time that they'd killed the Saw Viper. For a memorial issue commemorating the fallen Joes, Crazylegs was featured on the cover of issue 263. In the issue, Duke and Roadblock were at Arlington National Cemetery paying their respects for their fallen teammates, and among the list of Joes mentioned, Crazylegs got a name drop. Oh, but we're not done. In issue 272, during the Snake Hunt event, Crazylegs was back from the dead and aboard one of the buses to Springfield on the mission to rescue Sean Collins. And so that's where he is, back from the dead and an active part of the G.I. Joe team. But he's come back from the dead twice. Crazylegs actually died 2 times. In pre-Hama IDW continuity, as written by Mike Costa, the ancient Cobra Council created a contest which was that whomever killed the most G.I. Joes would be able to become the next Cobra Commander, taking over the mantle. Major Blood, Tomax, Baroness, Craig, and Zartan were among the villains vying for power. So in 2011, Crazylegs was killed a second time by Tomax's team in the same issue that Boxer and Needlenose died. Crazylegs was on Team Charlie with Needlenose and Boxer when they were taken out by a sniper named Blacklight who was working with Tomax. So they were shot, and then Crazylegs was mortally wounded by a knife this time. In 1988, Crazylegs graced the cover of a Ballantine novel that was written by famed YA horror author R.L. Stine. In that story, which is called Jungle Raid, Crazylegs was on a team in the jungles of South America taking on Siegis and Thunder Machines. And Crazylegs never made it into the Sunbow or Deke animated series. In fact, the only time he was animated was for a television commercial for the Slam in 1987, the same year his V1 figure was released. The following year, 1988, Crazylegs' V2 figure was released, where he joined Night Force in the form of a Toys R Us exclusive 2-pack, and here he was carded with Outback. Then in 2011, Crazylegs was released as part of the Pursuit of Cobra line. And for 2014's JoeCon, 1,000 Night Force Crazylegs were released, and they're still out there running around. So there you have it, the story of Crazylegs. That's a wrap on this one, my friends. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and you'll be one of the first to know when I upload videos just like this each and every week. I'm Jesse, this is JLS Comics, and I'll see you soon.